Forget the 7-course banquets and golden plates you see in the movies. Behind the ancient stone walls of Highgrove House, King Charles begins his day not with royal extravagance, but with a stopwatch and a quest for absolute perfection. It is exactly 8:30 in the morning, and in the royal kitchen, the atmosphere is as tense as a state funeral. Everything hinges on a single, non-negotiable number: 4. This is the ritual of the perfect soft-boiled egg, and for the king, it is a ceremony of discipline. It must be boiled for exactly 4 minutes. Not 3 minutes and 50 seconds, and certainly not 4 minutes and 10 seconds. Royal chef Graham Newbold, who served the monarch for over a decade, once described the intense pressure of this morning routine. He would tell his team that he could tell immediately if the timing was off by even 30 seconds. He insisted that the white must be firm but never rubbery, while the golden yolk had to be runny but not liquid. To ensure this perfection never wavers, royal staff actually travel with portable egg timers and specific British bread even during overseas state visits. Imagine the king sitting alone by a sunlit window, the gentle tap of a silver spoon against a porcelain shell being the only sound. It is a moment of predictable comfort in a life defined by unpredictable duties. If you find these royal habits as fascinating as we do, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. It helps us bring you more exclusive stories from inside the palace walls. But there is a sweeter, more spontaneous side to his morning discipline. While inspecting his sprawling gardens, the king often pauses by his beehives for a secret indulgence. He does not wait for a silver tray or a formal setting. Instead, he requests a taste of the latest harvest directly from the hive. Former estate manager Patty Whiteland remembers these moments vividly. She recalls how the king would take a simple wooden spoon, dip it into the fresh comb, and savor it with his eyes closed. He would tell her that he could taste exactly which flowers the bees had visited: apple blossoms in the spring, lavender in the summer, or heather in the autumn. This creates a striking contrast. A man born to wear a crown, yet finding his greatest joy in the raw, unrefined taste of nature using a humble wooden utensil. To Charles, that spoonful is a liquid map of his beloved estate. But as the morning mist clears and the heavy schedule of the day begins, you might expect a royal luncheon fit for a king. However, the truth is far more surprising. Could you imagine a king who refuses to eat at midday? The reason behind his empty lunch table will completely change how you view his royal productivity. Stick around and tell us in the comments, could you survive a whole day on just one 4-minute egg? While the world might imagine a king sitting down to a lavish midday banquet with countless courses, the reality of King Charles's schedule is far more ascetic. In fact, most days, the royal lunch table remains completely empty. This isn't because of a lack of appetite, but a conscious choice for peak mental performance. For over 50 years, Charles has adhered to a strict rule: skip lunch to stay sharp. Former royal chef Carolyn Robb, who cooked for the king for over a decade, once explained this unusual discipline. She recalled how the king genuinely believed that a midday meal made his thinking sluggish and interfered with his heavy afternoon workload. He would tell his staff that he would much rather work through his hunger than lose even a fraction of his mental clarity during important meetings. On the very rare occasions when he does decide to dine, perhaps only once or twice a week, the menu never changes. It is always a wild mushroom risotto. But this isn't just any store-bought fungus. These are mushrooms he has often foraged himself while staying at Balmoral Castle or Highgrove. He takes a deeply personal interest in the harvest, often guiding his kitchen staff to the exact hidden spots in the woodlands where the best wild fungi grow. He would tell his chefs with great pride, "These must be organic, and they must come from the soil I know." The dish is prepared simply with garlic, thyme, and creamy arborio rice, allowing the earthy, wild flavors to take center stage. This obsession with organic, estate-grown food isn't just a preference, it's a profound connection to the British soil. He views himself not just as a consumer, but as a steward of the land. By eating only what his own gardens and forests provide, he feels a physical link to the environment he has spent decades trying to protect. To him, every bite of that risotto tells a story of the seasons and the health of the ecosystem. However, do not let this midday fasting fool you into thinking the king is a man of no indulgence. There is one specific time in the late afternoon, 4 o'clock sharp, when the entire machinery of the British monarchy comes to a grinding halt. No matter how urgent the state matter or how important the phone call, everything is delayed for a 20-minute ritual that is considered absolutely sacred. Can you guess what could be so important that a king would stop the world just to taste it? If there is one moment in the day where the British monarchy truly pauses, it is precisely at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Regardless of the location, whether it be the grand halls of Buckingham Palace or a bustling city during a high-stakes state visit, the world stops for 20 minutes of absolute silence. This isn't just a simple tea break. It is a sacred ritual of restoration. King Charles steps away from the mounting stacks of red boxes and diplomatic cables to find his sanctuary in a single cup of first-flush Darjeeling tea. The preparation is an exacting science. It is served with exactly 1 spoonful of his own Highgrove honey and a splash of organic, full-fat milk from local farms. A former lady-in-waiting once described the profound stillness of these moments, providing a rare glimpse into the king's private world. She recalled how he would sit perfectly upright, holding the porcelain cup in both hands, closing his eyes to inhale the floral steam before taking the very first sip. In that brief window of time, the immense weight of royal responsibility seems to visibly lift from his shoulders. He isn't just tasting tea. He is tasting the very gardens he has spent decades nurturing, a sensory connection to his home that resets his mind for the evening ahead. What is perhaps most fascinating to royal watchers is that this sanctuary is entirely portable. Even when traveling across continents and through different time zones, his staff meticulously carries his preferred Darjeeling blend and jars of Highgrove honey. Whether he is in a desert palace or a high-tech metropolis, this small, steaming cup acts as a spiritual fortress, a piece of the British countryside that travels with him in porcelain and steam. It provides a rare moment of predictable comfort in an unpredictable life of service, ensuring that no matter where he is in the world, he is never truly far from the soil of his estate. But as the sun begins to set and the afternoon tea is cleared away, the focus shifts to the final meal of the day. You might expect a monarch of his stature to demand the rarest delicacies in the world, perhaps marbled Wagyu beef or butter-poached lobster. Yet, King Charles's dinner choice is far more humble and tells a much deeper story. It is a dish that speaks of the wild, rushing rivers of Scotland and a commitment to the environment that he refuses to compromise. What exactly is on the king's dinner plate tonight? And why does its origin matter so much to him? As the long shadows stretch across the royal residences and the weight of the day's duties begins to settle, the evening meal for King Charles III becomes a quiet, powerful statement of his lifelong mission. While others might expect a grand banquet of rare meats, the king's dinner table is often a reflection of his deep commitment to the planet. His most frequent evening choice is poached wild Scottish salmon, served simply with seasonal vegetables from his own organic gardens. But there is a non-negotiable condition. The salmon must be wild-caught from the cold, clear rivers of Scotland. He has a strict aversion to farmed fish, viewing it as a symbol of the very environmental degradation he fights against. Former royal chefs recall his firm insistence that the fish must be poached so gently that it almost melts, telling his kitchen staff that he wanted to taste the river in the salmon and the garden in the vegetables. To him, an overcooked piece of fish isn't just a culinary error. It is a waste of a precious natural resource. However, his most radical culinary habit is one that he adopted long before it became a global trend. For at least 2 days every week, the king follows a completely plant-based diet, removing all meat and dairy from his menu. His favorite dish during these days is a hearty lentil and vegetable stew, simmered for hours, with organic ingredients sourced directly from British farms he has personally visited. Environmental advisor Tony Juniper once noted that the king understood the massive carbon footprint of meat production decades before it hit the mainstream. Charles would often tell his circle of advisors that sustainable eating was not about sacrifice, but about taking personal responsibility for the Earth's future. Every bowl of earthy lentils and every bite of winter kale is a deliberate choice to lead by example. He eats slowly, often commenting on which specific garden beds the parsnips or carrots came from, treating the meal as an ongoing conversation with the land he stewards. But do not think for a moment that his discipline ends when the formal dinner is cleared and the palace staff retires for the night. Even as the grand hallways fall into a deep silence and the guards stand their lonely watch, a secret ritual is just beginning. When the clock strikes 11 and the world believes the monarch is fast asleep, a single light often flickers on in the royal kitchen. There, in the quiet darkness, the king indulges in a private habit that very few people ever get to see. What exactly is a king looking for in the pantry at midnight, when the grand corridors of the palace fall into a deep, velvet silence, and the world believes the royal household has retired for the night? A surprising figure often emerges from the private quarters. Around 11 o'clock, while the rest of the country is asleep, King Charles III often makes a quiet descent to the kitchen for a solitary midnight ritual. In his dressing gown, away from the prying eyes of state cameras and formal protocols, he seeks out a small plate of artisanal British cheese and thick, hearty Scottish oatcakes. This isn't just a late-night snack. It is a moment of profound solitude. A former night security guard once shared a rare glimpse of this scene, recalling how the kitchen light would flicker on in the darkness. He described seeing the king standing quietly at the counter, meticulously cutting thin slices of sharp Somerset cheddar or tangy Stilton, eating slowly and lost in thought. For a man who spends his entire day surrounded by people and weighed down by decisions of state, this midnight meal provides a rare sanctuary of silence and a chance to savor the craftsmanship of local British dairy farmers. But his penchant for simplicity doesn't stop with late-night cheese. Perhaps the most humanizing revelation about the king's palate is his genuine love for a classic British working-class staple, baked beans on toast. While the public might imagine the monarch dining on truffles and caviar, he frequently requests this humble comfort dish on quiet evenings. However, there is a distinct royal twist. Unlike Queen Camilla, who famously insists that her baked beans must come from a specific brand of blue tin Heinz, the king's version is created entirely from scratch. Royal chef Darren McGrady once revealed that people were often shocked to learn how much the king enjoyed such a basic meal. He explained that these aren't your average canned beans. Instead, organic haricot beans are slowly simmered for hours in a rich, slightly smoky tomato sauce, infused with a secret blend of spices. This is then ladled generously over thick-cut, golden organic toast, spread with local butter. To Charles, this dish represents the unpretentious heart of Britain, a meal that provides genuine warmth and satisfaction without the need for gold-rimmed plates. Yet, as comfortable as these private meals may be, there is one final dish in his repertoire that carries a much heavier meaning. It is a meal that was specifically chosen to define the beginning of his new era, acting as a culinary bridge between his personal values and the future of the British monarchy. Do you know which dish became the official flavor of his coronation? When the time came for King Charles to choose a dish that would define the start of his reign, he could have picked anything: rare truffles, exotic spices, or the most expensive meats on earth. Instead, he chose a humble spinach and broad bean tart. To many, it was a shock, but to those who know the man behind the crown, it made perfect sense. Palace chef Mark Flanagan explained that this tart was a culinary manifesto. It featured organic eggs from Highgrove chickens and vibrant greens from the estate gardens, all encased in a golden, buttery pastry. It was elegant yet accessible, sophisticated yet grounded. By choosing a vegetarian dish for his coronation, Charles sent a clear message to the world. His monarchy would be one of sustainability, consciousness, and a deep respect for the rhythm of the seasons. But perhaps the most touching expression of his legacy is found in his Sunday evening tradition: homemade plum crumble with thick organic cream. These aren't just any plums, they are harvested from trees the king planted himself decades ago. Every spoonful is a bridge between the young prince who once dug his hands into the soil and the king who now stewards the nation. Former royal chef Mervyn Wycherley recalled the king's specific preference for plums that were slightly underripe, ensuring they held their shape and tartness against the sweet, crisp crumble topping. This dish represents the ultimate reward of long-term thinking, the patience required to plant a tree and wait years to taste its fruit. Ultimately, the eating habits of King Charles III tell the story of a man who has rejected the traditional image of a hedonistic monarch. He doesn't eat to display his power. He eats to honor his responsibility to the planet. He is a steward of the earth, a man who finds more satisfaction in a perfectly timed egg or a handful of wild mushrooms than in any 7-course state banquet. His diet is a testament to the belief that the greatest luxury in the world isn't gold or jewels, but the pure, honest flavors of a healthy, well-tended land. We've traveled from the disciplined 4-minute egg of the morning to the secret midnight snacks of the palace kitchen. Which of these royal habits surprised you the most? Would you try the king's scratch-made baked beans? Or does the coronation tart sound more like your style? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into the lives of the world's most fascinating figures. Thank you for watching.